Welcome back, and thank you for joining us on the slide. This podcast seeks to normalize important discussions that are required for our community surrounding topics such as education, economics, justice, and politics. However, before we can attempt to cross controversial seas, we must build a vehicle. It is an absolute honor and a privilege to have with me today as my co-host, my biological brother, Fred Bethel. Fred is a phenomenal leader in the community. He's a phenomenal leader in the corporate space, and he's also a wonderful inventor and entrepreneur. It's absolutely a privilege to have him with us today. What's going on, Frederick Bethel? How are you, sir?
I'm good, my biological brother as well. You always like to lead with that.
I got to, cause that's how Miss Freeman tried me when I was in school. She talked about, you and Fred brothers, but you and Fred ain't nothing alike. That's what I say, Miss Freeman, me and Fred brothers, but we got different mamas, you know. But it is what it is. But even with that, we've been able to navigate our way through this space and find ourselves. But before we get started, I want to pay honor and respect to one of the elders. On the 23rd of November, 2025, we lost a very, very important figure in the Black community, Jamil Abdullah Al Amin, formerly known as H. Rap Brown, one of the chairmen of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, also a fundamental member of the Black Panther Party. It is with great reverence that we would like to just honor the memory of an individual that laid their life and paid the ultimate price and sacrifice. He spent over 50 years in prison behind those things that he believed. 50 years in prison. I just want us to just think about that. At 82 years old, they still had this man locked away for things that transpired in his youth as they were seeking to develop opportunities for us. And, sometimes those things don't necessarily look like what people agree to or what makes sense for others. But when you have a belief and a conviction and you're willing to sacrifice everything for that deserves to be honored. And I think as warriors and as leaders, we can honor and we can understand that. And so, A-Trap Brown, much respect to you, and we honor your memory with the sacrifices that we make during the course of our lives. But hey, we got to jump straight in, man. Hey, see, he came to talk crazy to me, but I ain't gonna even stand for it. But no,
Hey, guess what? And guess who ain't the only person from Carol City?
Okay. Hey, your last name should be Carol City. I can dig it, but you do come from Carol City, and you come from one of the tougher parts of our community too, and you made it out of that community without a lot of support, and you did it in an excellent fashion. What was that journey like for you coming out of Carol City?
Hey, sometimes you got to be, I guess, more reverent and afraid of your mama
Huh.
than them streets. And so I say afraid, but the older I get, man, the more I respect and just admire her ability to keep us on a straight and narrow in that type of environment. So, and not just mom, but, our family as a whole, just putting me in a situation where it was easy for me to make choices to, lean on education, to lean on doing the right, and, kind of resort to books to kind of help where I needed that assistance where she could actually survive. And so when you're in the fight, you don't really see it as, such a, I guess, an event of sort. You're just trying to, hey man, I know I don't want to live like this for the rest of my life. And so me, it became an easy option. And there was also some, we'll get into whole back of the father dynamics and so forth. And there was a part of the ego, like, hey, I'll show you that, how it's something person could have been more like, that was kind of a ego trip type of thing. But now I've come to realize that my situation was the best situation and the other barrier that could have interfered with my development. Very good.
Yeah, because when you look at a society, and for years we've been taught, the role of the father in the life of a child, particularly a young Black male, is paramount to the success of that individual. In our dynamic, you get a chance to see the absence of a father, yet you still were able to manage or to achieve success without his participation, right? And for us, and I know for many years, even in our journey, my ability to kind of be able to bridge that gap because I was there with him, for a large portion of my life. So I'm really familiar with how he felt about you, even beyond you understanding how he felt about you. Yet and still, you were able to achieve success. What was those things? What did you do? How were you able to achieve success in the absence of a father? What were you doing?
Hey, what's interesting, and I guess I got to do it in front of people I don't know, but to recap the situation, my mom, I remember specifically, she was like, "Listen, you come into an age." I guess I was like 15. You know, she said, "You come into an age. I can't really teach you how to become a man." She like, "The only thing I know is the Bible." She said, "I need you to read, you know, uh, Proverbs, and use that as a guide." And lo and behold, that I kind of, that was my first step in understanding that, hey, you can learn two ways: by experience or the experience of others.
Mhm.
And that I took that to heart. And so I was like, look, I don't want to waste time finding out the wrong way, by uh, due to lack of experience. So I just spent a lot of time reading others and use that as a blueprint, in terms of maneuvering through different circumstances or situations, so that I could be right here. Yeah. And
Yeah. So that began that process of your leadership journey, and you served as a leader at various stops in your life. Even in your youth, you served as the president of the student government for Miami Carroll City Senior High. How were you able to see? Hey, you finally got it right. Hey, you was your class president. You know what I'm saying? Now you're the president of the student government, right? Okay, I'm gonna give you. I'm trying to. You see, hey, when I try to be professional, you make it so difficult for me, right? But you served as the president of the student government at Miami Carroll City Senior High. Like, what was that like? How were you able to achieve that feat amongst your peers? Understanding the dynamic. Anybody who from Carroll City, y'all already know what it's like to try to achieve something great coming out of Carroll City. How are you able to do it?
well, let me just first keep it a buck, man. I actually love my time at Carroll City. It wasn't until after the fact that I realized not everybody has such a experience. But for me, and I guess the wolf pack that I was with, we kind of looked out for each other, and a lot of them was in athletics, and I was kind of the smart guy, with my classes and so forth. But I just remember the SGA advisor just, we were clowning in the halls, during lunch, and he was like, "Senior round, think you should run, for SGA president." I didn't even know what it was, to be honest with you. Um, but with the help of my crew and so forth, and the love I had for the school, because like I said, I really did enjoy, and Carroll City, was, who I was. And so we just campaigned, and it was a great experience with its ups and downs. And, when I was actually elected, I really took that to heart in terms of I'll do what I can to, represent the student body. It was nothing but love after that. So now that wasn't me wanting to, aspire to always be a leader, by any means. It's just something that happened, and one thing led to another, because you kind of learn those skill sets at an early age, and then it just kind of builds from there.
Do you think leadership is something that a person aspires towards, or is leadership something that's a mantle that's just cast on certain individuals? Because when you lead, you just lead, right? You can't even help it. You find yourself, you walk into a place, something out of order, you just find yourself in a leadership role, right? How are leaders developed? How are leaders identified? How are leaders developed?
I got to say that of the leadership roles I've had throughout my life, I've never sought out after. And I guess there's, for some, that mantle, that, maybe you were just destined to be in that position. I also believe that, there are those who acquire certain level of skills that puts them in that. So they're like this, you ever come across a guy that's like, boy, he got that country strong in him. He's just naturally strong. But then you have that gentleman or individual that kind of puts work in and kind of achieves that level of strength as well. And I think when it comes to leadership, it's a dichotomy of sort. You have those that just are natural leaders, and I'm not saying I'm one of those, but I think I'm maybe a hybrid of both. That because I really believe in learning from the experiences of others, that these individuals that I was learning from just happened to be people of leadership or in leadership roles. And so that through like osmosis, that became my character, part of my character, that kind of, I guess, others saw. And, it just kind of fit certain situations.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, look, it's also an honor and a privilege to have you here with us in the city of Jacksonville during one of the inaugural events with some of the nonprofit organizations that we're working with here in the
yeah,
city. And me and my journey, I've been in multiple communities across the country, working, kind of in the weeds with individuals trying to help to figure out some of the problems, solutions to some of the problems that those communities are facing. Here in Jacksonville is no different, right?
yeah,
It's a definite need in this city for leadership. It's a definite need in this city for support. And you got an opportunity to see that a little bit in this
very
city
impressed.
today.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts about what are your thoughts about Jacksonville? What are your thoughts about what you saw here and what you witnessed today?
So we've been talking about this, and we'll kind of get into the connection between, what we're doing and how this all comes together, with the Hills Network. What I saw today was, I guess, the precipice of what's to come. You get what I'm saying? Like this was the first round of giving at a level that I guess many were didn't expect, but it was a great expectation met as a result of it. I see with your if you want to talk about leadership, with your leadership, what you're doing here with the slide and the connections you're making here in Jacksonville, I think this represents the genesis of something major, that can kind of reform the consciousness of the city, and if not you, then who? Right. And so uh, I believe great enterprises start with small ideas or small opportunities. I truly believe that. So, here we are, what we witnessed today uh, will represent, because I always speak in the affirmative, what is to happen. I think Jacksonville is in a really good position right now in terms of, I guess, the funneling of all the different talents that's coming together uh, for what's destined, to help reform or build, the consciousness of this community of all, from all ethnic groups.
And here in Jacksonville, what I haven't seen is a lot of that infighting. I haven't seen or witnessed a lot of that of the hating that go on in some organizations. Because
And for you, that's a lot, because I know you, and when you came to Jacksonville, you was like, bro, something different.
oh yeah, yeah, man. I noticed it immediately. Just the people, they just built different. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? They conduct themselves different. They move different. It's a different level of support that you see amongst the men and women
Yeah.
of this city. It was very, very impressive to me. And just to think, we just witnessed a nonprofit organization within inside of 7 days acquired the resources to help or to provide assistance to 75 families with over 285 family members providing over $85,000 worth of support. They did it within inside of 7 days. Just imagine when you can galvanize groups and organizations in order to be able to effectively provide support for individuals and the things that they're trying to do. It's a wonderful opportunity that I believe exists here in the city of Jacksonville, but it's also more that is required. And that's what we want to talk about. The more that is required and what do we have to do in order to be able to achieve that. So for the last couple of years, we've been working on something. And now we're at that place where it's time to talk about it publicly. And so to have you here um in this inaugural event with the opportunity to share to the individuals who will listen to our podcast and also to the world, right? To tell them about Raise It. What is Raise It?
Well, let's back up a little bit, because we've had this conversation for some time. Um, you've been in the military, and you know that regardless of how strong a soldier may be, at the end of the day, they still need resources, right? They need a certain degree of ammunition and things of that nature to put themselves in a an advantage situation, correct? When it comes to community development, community or organizations trying to help their surroundings, the thing that, regardless of the motivation or the desire, at the end of the day, they still need resources, period, And so you and I over the decades now, been coming up with different ways to maybe help in this arena. And over the past couple of years, I think we really have we've been blessed with a concept that has now turned into a platform called RAYZIT, where it's going to allow organizations, allow entities to uh, rely upon resources or donations that will provide them with those resources in a way that is unprecedented. And so, as this serves as an opportunity to explain, Raise It is basically a platform that allows individuals to donate in various ways. The most premier method is rounding up their purchases to the nearest dollar, to where that change differential is then donated to their organization that they're passionate about. Now, everyone that's watching this have now, at some point experienced at a restaurant or, at Walmart or something, where they're making their purchases and they're asked, would you like to round up to, this donation or this organization with that donation? Because of the nature of who we are as human beings, sure, we'll round it up. But the thing is, chances are you don't even know what that organization is all about, right? Now you take that technology and kind of make it more personalized to where maybe the church you go to or the fraternity or sorority that you're associated with, maybe your child's PTA, or a nonprofit like the Hills Network, right? If you now have a choice in where your monies go and you make a purchase and that change differential is donated to that organization, it happens painlessly. As we was driving over here and we had such a busy day today, I forgot that, yeah, I stopped by Starbucks and later stopped by McDonald's, and I realized that, wow, okay, 46 cents just went to the Hills Network today, and I didn't even think about it. You get what I'm saying? And so the whole process is to put individuals in a position where it removes the excuse of I can't do, I can't make a donation, right? With Raise It, you can make a donation simply by rounding up. You can make a donation, by scheduling, a payment, every week, month, or so forth, or just a one-off. Maybe it's just a one-off hit in terms of you donating, at a particular event, and you move on. But the idea here is we're trying to remove any and all excuses for you not to donate. Not so much from a guilt standpoint, but people have to understand giving is healing. Okay. And when we don't give, it kind of goes against a universal law, because just as exercise strengthens the physical body, I believe giving strengthens the spirit. And when you're able to exercise every day, guess what happens? You really build your physical body presence. Well, Raise It provides you that opportunity to give every day, and it's not about the amount, it's about the principle. That's when, I don't think the universe cares about the amount. I think it cares more about what are you doing daily, or more routinely to honor this universal principle. And so with Raise It, I think, we've achieved that. So
And I'm completely excited about, the future and what this platform can do for organizations. Because, even in our journey as we develop nonprofits, as we worked in various communities throughout the country, the number one problem that we had was funding, having access to the resources that we needed in order to be able to attend to the needs of people. So now having a platform that'll allow us to be able to help those communities and help those community leaders with the resources that they need to attend to the needs of the population that they serve. It's just wonderful. It's wonderful. It's exciting, and I'm excited about the experience and the experiences that will come as a result of what Raise It will do for communities. So look, thank you. I know it's been a very, very long day. This was necessary. It was necessary that we come and capture, the thoughts and the ideas behind what we're trying to do with this platform, and to make people aware of what we're doing with this platform, so that we can continue to grow and serve individuals in our community. So thank you again
yeah,
for coming here and sitting down with me for a little bit of time. This was the easy one. You know what I'm saying?
Hey man, listen, hey, ain't no Kool-Aid going running through these veins. I keep telling you that.
Yeah.
So I'm the oldest, so respect, okay?
But if this was BMF, like I always tell everybody, I'm Meech. And
Look at you there.
this Southwest Terry ass there. Yeah, but no, thank you, Fredo. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming on and thank you for spending time.
Yeah, I'm proud of you, man. This is a great platform. You talk about leadership on my end. I'm more the quiet one. You know what I'm saying? And I like to think ideas, but you're the definitely the mouthpiece.
Mhm.
I think what we're one caveat here I want to have viewers think about. This is RAYZIT is not a specific uh ethnic platform. Okay, I want to be very clear on this, but let's do the math. There's roughly 48 million Black Americans, right? I just told you, through my purchases today was 46 cents. So let's say 50 cents today. If each Black American, was say part of RAYZIT, that's $24 million today donated to various organizations. That's roughly $8.7 billion for the year. What do you think we could do when it comes to HBCUs? What do you think that money could do for actual communities? When you look at HBCUs, which I'm a proud, alumni for Jackson State University. All right. What for every $100 of PWI, $100 endowment to a PWI, predominantly white institution, for every $100, it's $1 to an HBCU. Okay. So what's our solution? And part of RAYZIT is to create, again, it's a big what if, but I'm me, I'm all about big what ifs. So just something for your viewers to think about, like what will be our solution to the change, and no pun intended, but maybe RAYZIT is make a change with change. So
And I can respect that. Like you say, you what else? My thing is strategy, right? We understand that we have a problem. It is incumbent upon us to sit down and cultivate the solutions that are necessary in order to be able to attend to these problems. We're adults now. We face the problem. We experience the problem as students at these institutions. And now, as parents, we're sending our children to the same institutions, yet we haven't cultivated a solution for the problems that we know that they're going to experience. And what we are attempting to do is offer to the community at large a solution that will solve a little bit of the problems that our children will face.
And I'm not knocking PWIs whatsoever, right? But here's my problem, right? They they solicit our best and brightest, but their best and brightest don't come to HBCU. Okay, so I'm just saying let's keep it balanced, right? Like, I'm not knocking PWIs at all. I'm just saying if they're not allowing their best and brightest to come to our HBCUs, then we need to do something to make sure our best and brightest feel equally interested in our HBCUs. So again, I'm passionate because I'm from a HBCU, but this is part of what was the motivation.
No, but you're absolutely correct. And so we want to be able to make sure that we provide them with the tools and the resources so that their experience can be that of an Ivy League institution, right? It should be no reason why our children are going to college and then they have to struggle and suffer and then exist in environments that don't attend to their needs completely and holistically. And that's what we will do, and that's what season it is. So keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, pay attention, be on the lookout for RAYZIT, be on the lookout for organizations and institutions that support RAYZIT, because RAYZIT is going to be foundational and be in solving some of the problems that we experience as a community. Again, it's an honor and a privilege to have an opportunity to sit with you and to consider the solutions that will be required in order to attend to the needs of our community. And as we always say, you can run and you can glide, but you cannot hide when you're on the slide. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to spending time with you in the future. Take care.
Thank you.